called my son the poor man's son. They slapped him at a wedding. They blacklisted his uncle from an entire industry. This is how it happened. My name is Marcus, and this is an American Revenge Stories channel. I worked in a fabric company. My hands were rough. My paycheck was small. I married a woman who had nothing either. And together, we had one son. His name was Ethan. From the time Ethan was old enough to sit at a table and watch the world, I knew he was different. Not different the way proud fathers say their kid is different. Different in the way that made strangers go quiet. He observed. He calculated. He never wasted a word. While other kids chased each other around backyards, Ethan was already asking me why some families had more and others didn't.
I didn't have a good answer. Every family gathering we attended, someone found a reason to remind us of it. Our place, a cousin's birthday, a holiday dinner, an aunt's anniversary. Didn't matter the occasion. Someone always said something. About our clothes, about the neighborhood we lived in, about the fact that I worked with my hands. They smiled when they said it. That's the part I never forgot. They said it like it was a compliment they were being too polite to give. Ethan heard all of this.
When he went outside to play, kids in the neighborhood called him the poor man's son. Not once, not occasionally, regularly. He would come home and say nothing until he sat down. Then he'd look at the floor and something in his face would fold inward. He didn't throw fits. He didn't yell. He just got quiet in a way that was worse than crying. I told him the same thing every time. Son, our time will come. You are special to me.
I meant it. I just didn't know yet how right I was going to be. His cousins wouldn't play with him. Not because they didn't like him. They barely knew him. They just knew what their parents thought of us. And children absorb that. They repeat what they hear at dinner without knowing what it costs. Ethan stopped trying after a while. He stopped reaching. He turned inward and got to work.
Then he got sick, seriously sick. The kind of sick where you're in a hospital bed and the room is too quiet and the hallway outside feels far away. Not a single relative came. Not one phone call that went past the first ring. Not one visit. Nothing. He was 12 years old in that hospital bed, and he looked up at me and asked the question he had been holding for years. Dad, are we going to stay poor forever? Are they always going to treat us like this?
I looked at him. No, son. Our time will come. You will see. My prayers are always with you. I said it calm. I kept my voice flat because I needed him to believe it even if I wasn't sure I did. He got better, but something shifted after that. He stopped being a child who endured things. He became something else, quieter, harder, more focused. The wedding was the last time they humiliated him like that. It was his cousin's wedding, a big event, a large hall, expensive clothes, and louder laughter. Ethan was a teenager. I wasn't there when it happened.
Someone served him food that had gone bad. Whether it was careless or deliberate, I still don't know. But in the middle of that hall, surrounded by family and guests, Ethan got sick to his stomach. He vomited on his aunt's clothes. His aunt slapped him in front of everyone. When I found out, Ethan didn't cry telling me. He told me the way you tell someone about traffic. Flat, steady. He had already learned how to carry pain without letting anyone see the weight. After that, he disappeared into two things, school and the factory. Every evening, he came with me to the fabric company. He watched. He asked questions I couldn't always answer. He studied the way the floor worked, the way orders moved, the way margins existed in places most people never thought to look. He didn't tell me what he was building. One day, he came to me and said, "Dad, you don't need to work as a laborer anymore." I told him I was fine. He said it again 3 months later. then again after that. I didn't understand until much later. He had started a small company, just him and one friend. No funding, no connections, no family backing, nothing but the sharp mind I had always seen in him and the discipline that came from years of being told he had no future. That small company became a larger company. That larger company became something else entirely. By the time Ethan was in his early 30s, he was the president of a major company, headquartered in New York. I was still processing it. The biggest businessmen in New York put together a grand event, the kind of room where decisions that affect thousands of people get made over dinner. Ethan was invited, not as a guest, not as a +1, as a president. He walked onto that stage, and his uncle, sitting in the audience, attached to the event through a business of his own, stood up in front of everyone, in front of the most powerful people in that room. He announced loudly that he did not accept Ethan as a president. And then he started talking, the same way they always talked, the same tone, the same superiority. The room went still. The businessmen sitting in that audience were not family. They had no loyalty to old stories. They only understood performance, character, and track record. And what they watched? A man publicly trying to tear down someone who had built something real from nothing, told them everything they needed to know. Within days, every major player in that room had quietly closed their doors to Ethan's uncle. His cousin's factory followed, blacklisted. Not loudly, not dramatically, just closed. That is how power works when it's real. Ethan didn't celebrate. He didn't make a speech about the past. He didn't remind anyone of the hospital room or the wedding or the kids who wouldn't play with him or the word poor used like a slur. He said one thing: now the time is mine, and I will no longer tolerate insults. That's the whole story, told the way I lived it, from the outside, watching my son become something I never could have manufactured for him.
They called him the poor man's son. They were right. And that man's son built an empire while they were busy deciding he couldn't. For more videos like this, subscribe to American Revenge Stories.